Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Cafecito y Croquetas. Cafecito y Croquetas is hosted by Stay Tranquilo and our partners at H&Go. Today we're joined by Saidin Hernández, who will be talking a little bit about asset management, a little bit about Saidin's story, and a little fun Miami talk. Why not, right? So please, if you can, well, first off, thank you for being here. And two, if you can give an introduction on yourself.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me and for the introduction. And thank you, Kat, and the folks at H&Co. Funny story about Armando. I actually met him when I think he only had 20 people working with him. So now you guys are how many? 300? 1,000. Okay, so wow. That is exponential change and growth. So I'm very, very happy for Armando. He's, role model, honestly. That's all I got to say. So, anyways, it's been a great journey for him, and I'm happy to be here and to kind of share a little bit about what we do. So basically, we are a estate planning and tax firm. We help clients basically make sure that they're able to transfer their wealth and their legacy to the next generation, and we do this for clients in the US and also abroad. So we have really an international and global practice in scope. We have clients pretty much in almost every continent except Antarctica. We haven't reached the penguins yet.
They're next up.
They're next up.
I heard they're in need of some financial assistance. The next generation of penguins is coming.
Perhaps, the trickle-down effect, right?
Absolutely.
It will go all the way down to the penguins. But so basically that's what we do. We try to we are relationship based. We see it as not as a transaction, not that you're hiring us just to prepare your tax planning documents or your trust, but really we are the go-to for the clients, and that's why we represent family offices, we represent investors, and really many of our clients have been with us for a very long time. So. We have many clients that have been with us longer than 10 years.
Wow.
And it's kind of difficult to actually find a lot of estate planning firms that have such length of time with the same client. And that's really a testament to the work that we provide and the value added that we add for the client's help. Not only do we advise the patriarchs or the matriarchs of the family, we are lucky enough that we're able to help the next generation as well. So we become their attorneys. Many times what we have found is, this is kind of like a statistic that has been written about, is that usually whoever the estate planner for the parents is not going to be the estate planner for the kids.
Okay.
But we've been able to bridge that. We've been able to kind of not only represent the parents, but also the next generation. So we're very happy with that.
Interesting. What do you think that is? What's the reason behind that? You would assume, right? Hey, you worked with my mom, right. my dad. You handled their estate planning, but here I am today, and I'm going to work with someone else. What do you think the reason is behind that?
Well, I think really is because we make it a point to get involved with the next generation. And I think that's very important. A lot of times, most of the practitioners are from previous generations. They were not involving the next generation in.
Right.
So we try to make a point to bring and actually educate the next generation, so that to make them aware of what the planning situation is. What is going to be the scope and what they're going to be inheriting.
Right.
Because I think that's very important.
True.
And also just educate them as to the different components of their parents' estate plans.
No, absolutely. And I want to get into a little bit more of that, right? That generational component, right? Where obviously parents have built their equity and their worth, essentially, right? And to be able to pass that on to the next generation. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about yourself. Tell me a little bit about where you're from, how you got into estate planning.
Well, I'm from Cuba. I came here when I was 10 years old.
Okay. So
definitely, first generation, everything. First generation to go to college. I started before I actually even went to law school, I did computer science. That was my bachelor's degree. I hated it, even though it was very easy for me. It was not what I wanted to do.
Right.
And so I decided to go to law school. And so out of nowhere, I just told my parents, hey, I'm taking the LSAT, and I applied to different schools. I think I was the last person to get admitted to FIU Law. I was part of the inaugural class. And I believe, I think I was the last person to get accepted.
Wow.
So I actually, instead of receiving a letter in the mail, I actually got a call from Alma Miró, who was the director of admissions at that point in time, and she's like, "Congratulations! But if you want to save your spot, I need you to call me back with a credit card number." So I think that was very interesting. But
Yeah.
it's been a great journey. I'm very happy to have been there.
What's that?
It's
Oh.
just so-
Ah.
That's fine.
Okay.
We'll just pick it up from right
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I thought I was hearing something. I was
Yeah,
like,
I just didn't know what it was.
I mean,
But-
either. I didn't know what it was too. I'm like, I
it's
haven't
my
heard
phone.
that noise before.
So, anyways, my background, like I said, first generation Cuban. My parents, they've lived in Hialeah. I grew up in Hialeah. I went to Hialeah Miami Lakes Senior High, not Hialeah High, Hialeah Miami Lakes. There is a difference.
Yes. It's the rivalry school.
There is a rivalry, and it's funny because we used to make fun of Hialeah High, just for a simple reason is that I think during one of the pep rallies, I guess like a group of them just decided to vandalize our school, and we knew it was Hialeah High because they misspelled Trojans.
That gave it away.
So that gave it away. So we're like, okay, it has to be Hialeah High. Grew up in Hialeah. I actually worked for the city of Hialeah as a city attorney, as an assistant city attorney. I started practicing. I did litigation. When you get out of law school, you really don't know what you want to do. So I did a lot of different things, a lot of soul searching. One thing that I discovered as I started practicing immigration law, and I started realizing that the people that were coming to the U.S., they had no plans in place. They were moving here, not realizing that it is a completely different system from a tax perspective, from inheritance and everything else. And I saw that there was not a lot of people actually serving that clientele. So there was basically an opening. I figured out that there was an unmet need. So I decided to pursue that. I got an LLM in tax, so I made sure that I honed my skills. And I decided to kind of go, full blown on estate planning and tax planning. And that's been for the past 15 years. That's what I've been doing.
Oh, no, it's interesting, right? I mean, I feel like a very common theme across a variety of different people, right, is the fact that you go to college for one thing and then you may not end up working in that industry, right?
Oh,
I'm a testament to that 100%. And I think it's just like it's tough, right? When you're young, you don't really necessarily know. You may think you know what you want, and then all of a sudden you've put a couple time and effort into that, and you're like, hey, you know what? This isn't for me, right? So talk to me a little bit about that, right? Like where you computer science major, and then you said, hey, you know what? This isn't for me, and being able to have that confidence to say, even though I got my degree in this, I decided to do law school instead.
I think the realization for me really was that I actually enjoyed working with people and helping people. And when you are in the IT field, which was very easy for me, I understood computer programming languages, and it was really very easy for me. I could do it with my eyes closed. However, I was bored. It was really not what I wanted to do. You're basically in a cubicle.
Right.
You're not really helping anybody at the end of the day. And I figured that was kind of like a waste of my talent. And what I really wanted to do is talk to people. I like talking to people. And pretty much that's what I do all day long now. I just do it on Zoom instead of a podcast or anything like that. But that's really what I enjoy. I don't really enjoy the drafting or doing a lot of the paperwork. And I think most attorneys will probably tell you the same thing. It's kind of grunt work. But I do enjoy talking to clients. I do enjoy talking to them about what their plans are, how they grew their business, because most of my clients are entrepreneurs. And it's really interesting to me to kind of hear the backstory. Many of the clients are self-made. So they kind of grew, from a mom and pop shop, and then, they go to having 1,000 employees, all over the place. And I think that to me is, first of all, testament to the spirit, right? That they saw an opportunity and they decided to kind of pursue it. But also, I'm very proud that, many Hispanics have been able to accomplish a great deal of success in this country.
Absolutely.
And, I see that all the time. I'm very proud of that because many times we don't have the resources. We don't usually have so it's basically like bootstrap. You bootstrap your way to success. There's a lot of grit that comes into play there.
Yeah.
So it's not like somebody handed the keys to you and say, hey, run this. So I think that is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I enjoy hearing that from the clients.
Oh, it's amazing. And I'm glad you brought it up because that was one of the things that I kind of wanted to touch on, right? Was, obviously being here in Miami and a very Hispanic, Latino dense population, but it's the level of success that comes from Hispanics and Latinos, right? It's the fact that a lot of them came here from nothing, right? I always look back at my grandfather, right? Escaped communist Cuba to come here to create a better life, right, but left everything behind and basically started from scratch. But what did he do? He figured it out, right? He got a home for his family, had a great life, did things his way, very entrepreneurial as well. And I think that's a testament to us, like as Hispanics, right? Where you don't need to give us the keys to the door. We're going to figure it out. And I think you hit the word on the nose, right? It's that grit that we have. And I don't know what it is, but we have it. And it's in our DNA and it's in our blood. And I think it's something that's passed down from generation to generation.
And I think it's because failure is not an option, right?
Right.
When you come with nothing, you really have to do whatever you can to make ends meet.
That's so true. Yeah.
So you got nothing to lose because you're starting from zero.
Exactly. So with the clients that you work with now, right? I mean, I'm sure you've seen a kind of like an evolution of it, right? You're talking about first generation, maybe Hispanics that have come from Cuba, Venezuela, Colombia, wherever that may be, to now second, third generation. What's kind of like the biggest difference, I guess, that you've seen in maybe not just the planning portion, but just them as people?
Well, I think it's not just with Hispanics, but I definitely see that the second and third generation, they didn't build it, right? So there's definitely a different level of enthusiasm for continuing the business. And in fact, that's actually one of the things that we have to talk to the clients many times about. What are your succession plans? Because many times that second or third generation doesn't want to be involved in the business.
True. Yeah.
They decided to, go to law school or go to med school or, go into business or do something completely different than what the family business was.
Right.
So we need to think about it. That's something that we talk to the clients. What is your plan? What happens when you are no longer here? Are you planning to sell the business?
Right.
Are you going to bring professional management in? So these are the questions that we really have to talk to them about because there is not that, it's very few times where I actually see the next generation very eager to take over the family business. Most likely they're not.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. And I see it amongst many of my friends now that their parents had businesses, very successful businesses, and they just are choosing to pave their own path. I think that's kind of a very common denominator amongst them. It's nothing against the business. It's nothing against their parents. It's about the fact that they don't want their identity attached to, my parents built this, so I'm just kind of taking it over and succeeding it, right? Which, again, there's nothing wrong with that either.
Nothing wrong.
Especially, if you have a foundation built. I mean, we've seen the opposite where they do take it over and they take it to the next level, right?
I've seen that too.
Multiple people that we work with are that, right? Where their parents did a great job of building the foundation, but they've taken the business to a whole other level. But it becomes a personal opinion and really what you choose to do at the end of the day.
Absolutely. There's no wrong or right answer.
Right.
It's really more about, and obviously a lot of clients are in denial. They kind of continue wishing or hoping that the kids are going to step up to
True.
run the business. But we need to be realistic. And if you have a body shop and your kids are doctors, most likely they're not going to follow in your footsteps.
Right.
They're not going to continue that business.
Yeah.
So then the question for the client is, do you sell? Or, what is the plan going forward? Do you want this business to continue? Or do you want it to just, the buck stops with you?
Right.
So those are the questions that we need to have with them.
When you're having those discussions, right, is the next generation involved in those discussions, right? Because the parents may assume to say, hey, yeah, we want to keep this business going. Like I didn't build it for it to just go away and not stay within the family. But then you have the next generation saying, hey, I don't want to run and operate it. But do they say, hey, maybe we can bring in somebody to run the business and then maybe grow it to the next level, and that essentially the next generation just cashes out from, maybe an exit down the line of some capacity? Is that usually how that would go?
I'm there to ask the questions.
Right.
So my job is really to bring those questions to light and then try to engage the conversation with the client.
Right.
Sometimes they don't want to involve the kids.
Okay.
But I do encourage it. I mean, have you had that conversation with your kids?
Absolutely.
Have you thought about what you want this business to be? So it's definitely the conversation to be had. But my job is just to kind of, because they don't want to, the clients, they think that they're going to live forever. I mean, they really think that they are Dracula and they're going to be, like Mr. Burns in The Simpsons, that's going to be, 100 years old and still running the business and the nuclear plant. But at the end of the day, that is not realistic.
Right.
So I just try to, for them to come to grips that they need to think about this.
Absolutely.
And at least bring it up for them to realize that, hey, this is something that I got to think about. So my job is just to, elicit the conversation.
Right.
What they decide to do later on, that's really up to them. But I do try to bring it forward and so that they can think about it.
Absolutely.
Because many times they haven't thought about it. They're just too busy.
Of course.
Getting
consumed
things
in the
done.
day-to-day that it becomes essentially an afterthought, but reality is it can't be an afterthought because that moment comes and then all of a sudden you don't have a plan of action.
And it's funny because most people think, well, it's not what most people think. It's most people feel that taxes, inheritance taxes or estate taxes is really the reason why businesses don't pass to the next generation. And that's really not the case. It's actually studies have been shown that it's not the issue with tax, it's more about succession planning. It's about who is going to run it. Who is going to be the key person? Is it going to be the whole family?
Right.
Is it going to be one person? So that is really the real reason why most businesses don't go to the next generation.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then as far as, advice, right? Let's say I am that second, third generation. A lot of our listeners are, definitely on that younger third generation side. What do you recommend for them, right? Like maybe they're not getting inherited, a business, right? And it's, hey, I'm going to be now building my own life, right? And maybe they're entrepreneurial or maybe, very successful careers. What's kind of like the advice if maybe 30, 40 years old of like what that thought process starts to look like?
Well, I think it really starts when they start having families. I think that's when the rubber meets the road.
Right.
But they need to start thinking, most people in their 30s and 40s, they're too busy just growing their business or growing their career.
Right.
But you need to step back and you really need to look at what's going to happen. And it's very difficult because actually this happened to me recently when somebody, my business coach, was asking me, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And I started thinking about it and I had a block in my head. It's just that, I can think about maybe 2 years, 3 years down the line. But once I passed a 5-year line, I just couldn't think about it. So I really had to slow down, sit back, and really think, what is it that I want to do?
Right.
Or I want to be in 10 years or 15 years or anything down the line. it's difficult because we are so busy, right? We are just, getting the kids to school, right?
Right.
Making sure that they get picked up on time and all that, and make sure that, that you keep the lights on in the business, and that you keep, bringing clients in, and basically you're running everything. But you have to really slow down and sit back and think about what is it that you want.
Right.
What are your goals? And then write them down. So I went through this whole exercise about it. And in fact, I'm actually building some of what I just learned in this exercise, and I'm trying to implement it with my clients. And basically trying to, make them think about where they want to be.
Right.
And not from a business, that's not my job. I'm not a business coach or anything like that, not yet. But from, so that can kind of slow down and think about what is it they want to do.
Absolutely. And I kind of want to touch on that,
Yeah.
that goal list, right? Is that more financial? Is it more personal? What is it a little bit of both? Like, what does that goal list look like, right? Because you say, I struggle to think about what I want to be and where I want to be in 10 years from now,
Yeah.
right? So talk to me a little bit about what that goal list, and because there's that balance between the personal side, financial side, business side, right?
Well, is there? That's really what was causing me a problem. There is really no difference between the personal
Right.
and the business,
Mhm.
because it is your life. So
Right.
at the end of the day is, what are the goals in your life? And
Fair,
that's
yeah.
what helped me kind of break through.
Right.
Because obviously you were trying to, are you asking me about my business?
Right.
Or are you asking me about my personal life, my marriage,
Mhm.
the life with my
Exactly.
kids?
Mhm.
But it's about planning for your great life.
Mhm. And whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah, whatever that happens to be.
Mhm.
So that's what kind of helped me break it down.
Interesting. Yeah. No, it's true, right? I mean, they're all one and the same at the end of the day. And it's essentially at the end of the day, what it is that you value, right? Is it the priority of family in the next year and years? I've been working so hard for the last 20 that the next 10 years are all about family, or vice versa. Hey, you know what? I've been focused so much on family, but I really want to take my business to the next level. So I'm going to need to do the things that are going to take my business to the level. So it is very, I guess, personal, but they're all interconnected at the end of the day.
Correct. And I think that's but you have to kind of break it down.
Right.
And you have to kind of remove the silences between the different parts of who you are.
Right.
But that's what helped me.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that that's going to help everybody, but
No, but it's the truth.
definitely, just trying to kind of think about, it's all in the same. Just think about where you want to be in 10
Right.
years.
I think something like interesting that you said too, right, is like that you had to almost kind of like remove yourself, right, from the situation. And like one of the key words that you said was like slow down, right? I think a lot of us need to do that, right? And I think we all kind of get overwhelmed sometimes in the day to day, right? Because so many things are happening at once, and you got to take care of your work, you got to take care of your family, you got to do this, right? And take care of your health, right? Go to the gym, right? All these things, right? It's like do.
Yeah.
But it's like in that to-do list, where is that time that you say, hey, I need to actually look at myself and see how I'm doing, right? And am I, it's like the hamster wheel, right? You're running on the hamster wheel, but you're going absolutely nowhere. Correct. And I think you have to sometimes slow down, because you could be doing all these things and they might be great, and on paper you're checking the to-do list, but what has it really led to? Is it leading to the goals that you have?
Right. Is it just busy work?
Exactly.
Are you busy just for staying busy?
Mm-hmm.
So that goes hand in hand. Is it something, and this is something that I'm implementing now, at least in my own life, when I'm looking at my to-do list, is it something that is going to further my goals? If it's not going to further my goals, then it shouldn't be on my to-do list.
Right.
So do I need to give this to somebody else in my team?
Right.
It's
or wipe it out, or
right?
maybe even wipe it out completely.
Maybe it doesn't need to get done, And it's funny because I started thinking about looking at your to-do list, and how often do you just like, you know what? Let me just start a new one.
All the time. All the time.
It's like the same thing. I actually did this a couple of times. There's not with the to-do list, but with emails. At some point, my inbox got so flooded that I'm like, email bankruptcy. So I declared email bankruptcy. I just took everything that was there that was older than a month, and I got rid of
Gone.
it. And believe it or not, nothing really happened. So it just comes to show you that we get like in this hamster wheel. We tie ourselves in a knot, and many times it's really nothing so important. So yeah, that's I'm trying to kind of really looking at the if I'm looking at my to-do list, is it really going to push me forward? If
Right.
it's not, then it shouldn't be there.
Yeah. And I'm sure you take a very similar approach with the clients that you work with, right? It's like, how does this benefit you and your goals in the long run? And if it doesn't, having someone like yourself can help kind of provide that clarity.
One of the first things that I usually ask my clients is, what are your goals? What is it that you want? Because people come to me for estate planning or, basically to solve an issue that they have.
Of course.
But at the end of the day is, what is it that you want to accomplish by doing this? Sometimes it's just because you want to make sure that I get many, especially with like new families, they're going the first time that they go away, on a trip without the kids. So they call me at the last minute, hey, can you have this done by Friday? Because we leave on a 2-week cruise. And obviously in those kind of circumstances, obviously the goal is very simple. If something happens to the both of them, they just want to have papers in place so that abuelo and abuela can take care of the kids.
Got it.
But when we're looking at longer range and we're looking, we're trying to do more significant planning, then really the question is, what do you want to accomplish? What is your goal? Is it just to avoid probate, or do we have a taxable estate and we need to minimize taxes?
Right.
Or do we just want to have a basic foundation just so that we can avoid issues in the future or avoid court?
Yep.
So because if, depending on what the goals are, then the solutions that I'm going to provide are going to be very different.
Right.
So it's basically planning with the client's goals in mind. No two clients are going to be exactly the same. No situations are going to be the same. So it's more about tailoring to what they need.
Absolutely. No, I think it's always good to have someone in your corner, right, that can help with a lot of that, because I think a common theme is, right, there's a lot going on. So the more you can delegate where you might need assistance or guidance is crucial, because we can't do it all. And I think sometimes we try to do it all, and we realize like how much we can divide and conquer when you bring in the right people and the right kind of, I guess, assets, whether that's people or other tangible assets, right? But we need that in our corner, because sometimes you could go online and say, hey, yeah, I'm going to figure it out, right? But
ChatGPT, right?
You're just going to get more confused, if anything.
Well, I've had the ChatGPT whales already show up.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. That's interesting.
They're not bad.
I'm sure they're not terrible. I mean, ChatGPT is pretty complex.
They're not terrible. But it's and I think, thinking about the whole AI, and I think the AI is really going to impact our business. Not just, it's going to impact CPAs for sure.
Yes.
But it's going to impact attorneys, I think, in a great deal as well. And I think the billable hour, I think, is pretty much dead. So I think it's more about kind of removing the commoditization that, any attorney has with their clients, and about building their relationship. And I think maybe that is a good way that we can, look through and make sure that we are serving the best interest of the client,
right,
instead of just thinking about that billable hour. So I think there's just going to be more of flat fee and value-based billing arrangements. We already been doing that in the office, but I think that the billable hour is pretty much going to be dead.
Wow.
I mean, that's just my prediction.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I could see it, just from, the usage of AI, on our end, and just obviously if you can find ways to cut costs in certain areas, right, you're going to always explore that, on the business side. And for someone like yourself, right, it's like, how do we adapt with what's going on, and finding a solution that obviously fits everybody on your side, and then obviously on the client side as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's going to be a next 2 years are going to be very interesting.
For sure.
I think there's going to be a lot of changes. There's going to be a lot of just a different circumstance that we're going to have in our practice. But I'm not afraid of it. A lot of attorneys are afraid that they're going to, not have a business, especially with ChatGPT, wills and everything else. But that's why building the relationships with the client, I think is going to be the thing that you have to focus on.
Yeah, and there's the human component to it.
Correct. That's the one thing that they can't do. Not yet.
Not yet. I was going to say not yet. Yeah, we'll have this conversation in 10 years and see where we're at. No, that's awesome. Super, super valuable. I think it's great to obviously hear the line of work that you do and the value that you provide. But I wanna talk a little bit about you outside of work, right? So tell me a little bit what's a day in Miami look like for you? What's life outside of work for you?
Well, I have 2 little kids. So I have a soon to be 6-year-old boy, and then I have a soon to be 11-year-old girl.
Wow.
So my day starts just trying to get them out of bed.
That's fair.
So that we can get out of the house in a timely basis. Dropping them off in school, that's usually my role. And then my wife picks them up. And basically being Uber, different activities. So I really enjoy spending a lot of time with the family, and we play golf together as a family.
Oh, nice.
We're terrible at it. I'm not saying that
I think we're all terrible. It's all good.
But especially when you're trying to play, and that's why we go to Granada, and we're usually like the last, the last tee time on a Saturday, so nobody is behind us. But we try to do that, and I think it's really been,
it's amazing.
A lot of quality time, and then basically trying to tell my son not to keep hitting the clubs against the grass. But that is really what I try to do, is try to spend time with the family, and just try to be with them. That's really my everyday. So if I'm not in the office, I'm with the family.
That's amazing. Yeah. Miami's a great place for family. Yeah, I think it's
for sure.
It's changed obviously a lot over the course of the last few years.
Yes.
But it is amazing to see how much of a family place it is, and just the community aspect, and the kids always have, I feel like the kids always have something to do, right? It's crazy. I mean, even myself growing up, there was always something to do. But now I feel like it's just even more school activities, sports, extracurricular, whatever it may be. But I feel like there's always something. And I'm sure your kids are all in it all.
My wife keeps them busy every single day. So they have... they play golf, they play tennis, they play instruments. My son does karate, my daughter does dance. So it's every single day is just something, an activity. Absolutely. And it's just so that they're not home. So my wife is very keen on for them not to be on the electronics as much as possible.
Yes.
So we usually have no iPads during the weekdays, and then so on the weekends is when they can enjoy it.
Right.
For times. So,
exactly.
But that's what we try to do. But obviously, it's more work for us.
Yes, exactly.
Because then you become the point of entertainment for everything.
But it's you took the iPad from me, so what are you going to do to entertain me now?
Exactly. So I'm go play with the toys. We just, the 2,000 toys that you have there in your room.
Right.
But that's really, most of my life is that.
That's awesome.
I'm very happy with that. I'm a family person, and I really enjoy spending time with my kids.
That's awesome. Well, again, thank you so much. Enjoyed the conversation. It's always great to to connect with like-minded individuals, aspiring individuals, whether in entrepreneurship and careers. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sitting here over a little bit of Cafecito y Croquetas. There's no other way to do it in Miami. But before we finish, if you could just provide where people could find you, connect with you, I think that's always great.
Well, I'm actually going to give you an exclusive.
Oh.
So we're actually rebranding. So right now, my business is just my name. But we are rebranding into Bridgepoint Global Council, just to kind of step away from just my name. So it's going to be Bridgepoint Global Council. We already got the domain ready. We're already working on new logo and PR and everything. So
amazing.
Hopefully in the next month or so, that's going to be our new, marketing name,
positioning,
and everything
messaging.
else.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So I'm very excited.
Yeah, oh, that's great. That's great. We're excited for you. And again, thanks so much for joining. And thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. And we will see you on Friday.